Final ending of Throwing the Bear Out, Part 1 down below. I wasn't prepared for a quick change of heart, but she eventually began being honest with herself as well as with me during our first counseling session. She acknowledged that she left 3 years ago and that she hasn't taken any action to return. Acknowledged that she thought it was too late. I was able to let her know how I truly felt and finally express myself. Although there is still much to be worked through, it's a start. That evening, she subsequently acknowledged that she was beginning to believe that divorce wasn't the best option. She acknowledged that I am gradually making her change her mind, but she is still leaning more toward divorce and still has a ways to go. Thus, regardless of the outcome of our divorce, we are at last resolving our differences. She has made a commitment to be open-minded toward me for the previous month. I say that based on her deeds rather than what she said. Had a small outburst following the session last night. My son had told me that he was afraid yet wanted to ask his mother questions. I declined to ask the questions on his behalf and was unable to provide an answer. Not present in him. He currently fears greatly that his mother would stop loving him too if he causes her any trouble. I made him sit next to me so he could talk to his mother and ask her if he was scared before they spoke. He is able to murmur in my ear, and I'll put in the queries on his behalf. He began to speak, but then became afraid, so I reassured him that I would watch out for him. Wife became quite nasty and confrontational after he departed, stating that I was blaming her for our children's problems. I gave her an explanation for her decisions, telling her that I did the best I could, that our kids were in misery, and that I was offering her the opportunity to help them feel better. I'll start acting like a horrible man if she persists in painting me as one when I'm not. After she had cooled down, she informed me the line had offended her. Then we had a brief conversation about how everything was her fault. I told her, yes, our kids are messed up right now, in a calm and caring manner. Did you really believe they wouldn't be impacted by this? No, she answered. My desire to separate and have a divorce had nothing to do with it. You desired it. Yes, it is your fault since it was you, not me, who became emotionally distant. You felt as though I did because you feel guilty about it, even though I didn't blame you a short while ago. Sincerely, we both know that you are the one causing the disruption in this specific instance. I can stop telling you what the kids are saying about you if that's how you'd like. I don't want it because they'll start to dislike you. In a kind voice, she replied that she understood and that, in spite of that one line, I couldn't have handled it any better. The documentation for the legal separation is complete. I'm only awaiting the final draft at this point, after which my legal aid will review it with me one last time. She hasn't responded to my inquiry yet, therefore we haven't started working on the separation's moral behavior. The question is, will you give your family, myself, and the kids an honest shot now that you are at last being upfront and honest about who you feel you are? I acknowledge that I have hurt her deeply and that she has been miserable for the past 3 years. I also know that for 3 years, I tried to persuade her to confide in me, and that if she did, all of this would be for naught. However, time cannot be turned back, so I must focus on the here and now. She is now prepared to be truthful and upfront with both herself and other people. She's opening up to me now, and if she stays true to herself, I think we have a shot. However, she must consciously choose to give love another chance. If she refuses, I will start moving on as soon as I return to the United States. I'm not saying I'm going to start dating right away, but I will start getting ready to hit the figurative dating scene and probably start dating within the next year. Well, Sunday was all right, if a little difficult. We spent the whole day on the computer playing hidden picture games. There were some chuckles and giggles. Recently, she has made a great effort to involve me in events. Hello, would you like to spend all this time with me even though I desire a divorce? I am, however, taking the effort to emphasize my positive traits and avoid my negative traits. She went grocery shopping later in the day. She returned and started working on the pie as I finished the dish. She prepared the family's supper. After the kids finished their dinner, we served them pie and the whole family watched Beauty and the Beast in the living room. We had a lot of laughter and grins together. I really wanted to bring items, but I kept remembering myself that our second MC is on Wednesdays as I checked myself. She is beginning to show me a great deal more respect and love once more. Though I'm not sure if the love is a ruse or not, I believe the respect is genuine. She has also stopped making subtle remarks. Can you vacuum the floor tomorrow? Was the delicate suggestion she made concerning the floor being vacuumed. There shouldn't be an update because she has duty tonight. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. There's still a lot to go through, and we're not sure if we will. She doesn't seem to understand that she is the one who created a lot of the activities for which she is divorcing me. She still hasn't fully accepted responsibility for the things that weren't her fault, just as I have. Day by day, anyway. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to live on the knife's edge. Perhaps try to have a conversation with her after work today without the presence of a counselor. Perhaps try giving her a cold shoulder if she doesn't respond. It's definitely time to shake the tree some more and watch what falls. I only realized last night that my tank is empty, and it hurts to be, in a sense, parked directly in front of the gas station. I'm getting closer to the day of the ultimatum every day. Although I know that's how it would be seen, I don't mean to provide an ultimatum. The more she confides in me and discusses her problems, the more I think she's a crock. The children are the one thing that has been impeding me, and only then, as it would be a while before they see their mother again once I go from this place. Yes, she is being more respectful toward me. Yes, even if she is unaware of it, she is showing me more love. She hasn't, however, made the commitment to attempt something different in our relationship. Like you, I was not content with the way things were. We have a genuine opportunity to alter the dynamic in our relationship, and I should give her the boot if she refuses to accept it. I'm working on becoming a better version of myself because I haven't been happy overall. The first thing I'm going to do is do what I've always done, which is run away from challenges and hardships in my life. She reads a rationale, an answer, for everything. As I work on myself, my children, and yes, even an extension, will benefit. When will she start doing the self-improvement that she claims is necessary? If all she needs to do is get herself together, why in the world does she need a divorce? Everything sounds hollow, if you understand what I mean. I'm not sure if it's because of another man, to be honest. In all honesty, I think her current emotional and mental state is messed up. She gave up being herself to become the ideal wife and mother, but why not try giving her relationship some serious energy and see how it works? Try paying attention to the things that really irritate me and taking appropriate action. Don't merely flee, take action. Even though I know I can't make her do any of things, I can stop helping her slide by refusing to give up, no matter how painful it would be. I'm not sure yet what I'll do. As I previously mentioned, the length of time the kids will be apart from their mother complicates matters somewhat because, as a good father, I know it will be difficult for them to be without their mother for such a long period of time. I'm prepared to suffer for them, but I'm reaching a point where I can no longer carry that burden. If I reach that point, the children will suffer the most because they are innocent in this whole situation. Be a decent father, dude, it's not easy. A varied bag of a weekend, indeed. Friday was a timid, uninteresting day. We stayed up and watched a movie on Saturday. We're going to camp this weekend, but she seemed to miss the point when I suggested we tent in the living room. On Mother's Day, she went on a trip early in the morning and returned home, appearing to appreciate the cards and gifts from everyone. I made her dinner, nothing very fancy, but something she hadn't eaten in a long time. On its own, Monday was a mixed bag. When we first entered the house, she questioned me about why it seemed to be. I seemed to switch modes all the time. I tried to explain without making any accusations. I later left a water stain on the floor after doing the dishes. She gave me a nudge. Despite the fact that it was spoken in jest, I didn't really react to it. Did you hear what I said, honey? She said, began to accept. I grinned, then realized that she had just called me honey twice, emphasizing the honey the second time. Counseling is scheduled to begin today. She's a little anxious because she has a significant question for me to answer today. She told me yesterday not to worry about it and not to linger on it, meaning that if you need space and time for yourself while you need a divorce, that's okay. That gives me some comfort, but not much. Counselor postponed the session, so it is now Thursday and we will have to wait 2 more days to find out the answer to the next significant question. I jotted down something last night since I couldn't sleep and I wanted to share it and get feedback. I decided to write last night as I couldn't sleep. I've been trying to be a better man for myself as much as for you. I'm doing my hardest to be honest and upfront with you about how I feel without being disrespectful. I need to share some of them, but I'm not sure how. I genuinely believe that you are miserable. However, the statements and actions you have made during the last 6 months don't add up. You claim to have loved me for 3 years one day. That final fight was the next. You have repeatedly prioritized the feelings of other guys over mine over the past few years. You claim that I never paid attention to you, and you are partially correct. However, you never offered me another chance to demonstrate my abilities like I did. If you won't give me the chance, how can I demonstrate change to you? When you prioritize everyone else, how can you possibly love me? Divorce is not what I desire. I am aware that you have tasks to complete. That's okay and I appreciate that. However, I also have other tasks to complete. 9 years ago, we made vows to one another. I tried harder and gave you all you claimed you needed. You just haven't. I will leave your life if you don't keep your end of the bargain and keep trying to make me go. I promise not to speak poorly of you to our kids, but some of those decisions do affect them. I'm not sure if I will ever be able to call you a friend if you push me out of your life. You see, I gave my heart to you. I've loved and stood by you always. However, leaving me would mean that you didn't want to be my partner in everything, that you didn't want to put in the work necessary to make love work, or that getting married to me meant having children too soon, which destroyed your life. I'll never be able to get over you. The emotional trauma I've endured over the last 3 years is forgiven. Whether or not she meant to, I'm starting to see that what she's done to me is emotional abuse. If we give it a fair shot and it doesn't work out, I can forgive you getting divorced from me. But if you've spent the last 3 years making me into a neurotic mess so you can rationalize your departure from me, I can't forgive you. If you truly let your feelings for a man you shouldn't have dated lead to our divorce, crushed my hopes, and robbed my kids of some of their childhood, then I will never be able to forgive you. Now, the real ball is in your court. Will you accept the challenge of becoming the best wife and mother you can be, or will you keep trying to be the person you could have been? Will you be the woman who emotionally dragged their father down for probably the rest of his life? Or will you be the role model and hero who teaches your kids to try to keep your word and respect other people's feelings? The last paragraph is what worries me the most. Although it seems judgmental to me, that is how I really feel. My kids have already voiced their opinions about what mommy is doing to their dad. No, I haven't spoken poorly of her to them. I try to answer their inquiries without showing my own anguish. I smile, reassure them that it's not their fault, and tell them certain things they should ask their mother. However, I do believe that my kids won't appreciate her in the end for what she did. If they develop into happy, healthy individuals, which I intend to ensure they do, with the assistance of my in-laws, I will succeed. What are your thoughts? Should I give her the letter or should I keep it as a venting exercise? Modify it and give it to her. Even though I've gotten much better at not being joyful, I still struggle with the emotional detachment thing. Disappointed just because of her. I give her a warm reception if she is open to receiving. I just ignore her if she is behaving foolishly. She gets upset when I turn off, and she actually only gets upset when the kids enter the room and start interacting. I converse with them. It's more that I'm not attempting to make her happy against her will. She wants to be in a foul mood, so I let her be. I don't inform her the results of her actions. Unfortunately, she will affect me in a sense no matter how hard I try. However, I'm doing my hardest to act as though she can't influence me and am working hard to regain my sense of worth and confidence. My sense of value has declined, but my sense of self-esteem is still fairly high. Which actually brings me to yesterday's events, a really fascinating day. She works at the clinic, so I dropped the kid off with her so I wouldn't have to deal with both when I needed to go to the doctor. She was in there with a coworker, and he was trying to show me images of his little kid when I showed up. She didn't say hello or anything, so I told her I was heading to my kid's appointment and left rather than waiting and pressuring her. It was almost time for her to leave the appointment, but she had to wait for the script to be added. So I sat down with her there for a while. She abruptly wanted me to leave the office after a sequence of incidents that triggered me. Not that she genuinely wanted me out of the office all of a sudden, but I felt that way because I got triggered. I became visibly agitated, and she attempted to inquire about my personal issues. Since she was at work and I was agitated, I simply told her not to worry about it and left. She got off, went outside, and asked me again as she waited for the script. I gave an explanation since I was no longer triggered. Thus, everything went pretty well after we arrived home. Since it has been raining a lot and neither of us wanted to get out of the car to go grocery shopping, we ordered pizza. She made the decision to take a shower while she waited for the pizza. When my daughter's friend arrived, she turned to face the wife and remarked, "You are lucky." She questioned my reasoning. Told her, without asking or posing a question, "I've been waiting for the opportunity to join you in the shower since I was going to be in there." She smiled back, really flirtatious. I returned there later after my girl's buddy had departed, for some reason, thinking I had something to ask or whatever. Swiftly stroked her hair after posing that dumb inquiry. I can't recall what it was about, so it must have been a dumb one. The woman had just finished conditioning her hair, damn it. She scoffed at me, so I wiped it off on her. She gave me a physical reaction, but I chose to leave with a smile. I figured it would be beneficial to demonstrate to her that I could make a lighthearted physical slap without going overboard. I went back to tell her when the pizza arrived, and she invited me in to wash her back. Thus, she quickly undressed, gave her back a wash, dried herself off, and served the children dinner. I must admit that yesterday was perhaps my best day to date. Even when she attempted to engage me while I was feeling upset, I refused to participate. Her responses reflected my assertiveness and control without coming across as bossy. Oh, I mentioned cohabitation throughout the drive home. I advised her not to get too caught up in the specifics, but it's something to consider. There would undoubtedly be details for us to deal with. Is it not better to bring it up and pique her curiosity rather than try to hurry her decision and impose an answer? My suggestion clearly piqued her interest. It would obviously not be relevant for some time, and I'm sure some people will find that comment offensive. 1. I don't want my children to grow up in a broken family because I love them. Even if their parents live together as friends in the same house, I would much rather have both parents present for them at all times. 2. I can write out some important ground rules, but only if there were hard ground rules would I follow through. Either parent may leave at any time if they so want. Either parent may go on a date if they so choose. With both parents, finances are kept totally apart, dividing bills in half. Otherwise, your money is your money, mine is mine, and as long as your bills are paid, I have no say whatsoever over how you choose to spend it. While groceries are included in bills, specialty foods are paid for out of pocket. All discipline judgments and decisions pertaining to the children must be made in concert. Tasks will be divided unless they are private in nature, similar to your own laundry. 3. This idea also provides me everything I need to break up with my pals, which is another reason I appreciate it. This is a list of the items that are discussed because, as I just realized, there aren't many. 1. The separations regulations. She is still coming off the fence, so we haven't talked about it yet. I told her that I wouldn't talk about it until she is off the fence, in whatever manner she may come off. 2. my demands in order for us to stay friends after our divorce, in the event of a divorce, as well as her requirements if we are to stay friends following one. 3. Needs from me to her if we want to remain married. 4. Future cohabitation may be possible, subject to numbers 1 and 2. Alright, yesterday was 11:00. Let me start by saying that following the event yesterday, we both laughed at the MC. I believe it was a ploy, but she continued repeating things like wife and I don't understand, and we just kept staring at each other to see if we were truly understanding each other, as the counselor was clearly not understanding. The wife claims that although some of this has altered, she still felt divorced. I'll respond to that thereafter. He needs to be instructed to do things that I've told him to do multiple times because he is extremely bossy, jealous, and overly protective. He's controlling when it comes to the money and me. He gets mad if I spend it without asking or if he asks me a question I've spent money on. Nonetheless, he acts similarly without ever explaining what or why he is purchasing. Tells me who I am allowed to date and who I am not. Claims that because I am too innocent to take care of myself, it is for my protection. In order to avoid causing trouble, I had to obtain his permission before going out with my friends. Even if I'm just going out for a few hours, I have to introduce him to all of my friends before I can go out with them. My answer for the first item. Naturally, because I've always felt like someone else was more important to you, I'm not a jealous person. I am overly defensive of myself, and I am trying to change that. Bossy, I never intend to come across as bossy, but I've told her multiple times that I'm aware that when I act in a bossy or superior manner, she should call me out so I can stop. To be honest, I have no idea when I start to feel that way, and if I don't know, I can't stop. It's ridiculous that she has to tell you multiple times since she never says anything directly. She gave me financial management responsibility because I need to be aware of what money is being spent on. She didn't want to manage the money, and every time I gave up managing it, she dug us into some pretty big holes. Though most of it is still items for her, I would tell her what I bought and why if she asked. Sure, I've told her who she's not allowed to go out with. I apologize, but I don't want her to go out drinking with that dude who always gets weird vibes. I can honestly say that I have rarely refused a buddy. She is a wife and mother, though. Yes, I have told her repeatedly that she is too innocent to look after herself. However, she believes that everyone is good, and she doesn't believe that single guys who approach her for friendship have any hidden agendas. Yes, I would like to meet her friends. I don't want to steal them or make friends with them. All I want is to know that they value her status as a wife and mother, as many don't. Sometimes, when I have to repeat myself or bring up the same point again and try to express it in a different way, I feel that he doesn't listen to me or care about how I'm feeling. I'm grateful. I feel substantially the same way, if not more so, than I did the day before. We argue about the same things because she never resolves conflicts. Tries to use the argument that I'm harming someone I love to guilt me into doing something I don't want to do. The kids usually blame my tendency to avoid conflict. I've never attempted to put her under duress. She does, in fact, stay out of trouble. She has frequently acknowledged this to herself. It's also a fact that she was harming the kids and me up until lately. It is her own fault if she feels guilty about that. She did not hear the last line. Yes, I have just recently done this a few times, but if I hadn't, I never would have met anyone else. I wasn't being inquisitive, rather, it was because I sensed that she was lying to me and keeping things private. She was an open book before the aforementioned incident and didn't mind if I looked through her belongings when she asked me to. Counts via email and other means. She is unable to distinguish between privacy and secrecy. Although stated previously, it wasn't said yesterday. I had the impression that at home, I had to be someone else. Until recently, I was afraid to be who I am now. Even then, when I leave work or answer the phone, I become someone else. I have to keep my feelings to myself so as not to give the wrong impression. Now it's a reflex. The only reason I know that I do this is because several of my friends have commented on it. My major grievance with her, dating back to her miserable days, has been this for years. You treat me differently than you treat other friends, I've mentioned repeatedly. She would always reply, that's because you're my husband, and I would love her for that. Hart didn't mention that she didn't think it sounded fake, which makes me question what other things her pals might have told her. This, together with the previous one, is the main source of the issue, in my opinion. She also mentioned a few advantages. 1. Excellent with children. 2. Suggests that I get out frequently in consideration of my need to not spend all of my time indoors. 3. Cherishes time spent with family. 4. Encourages me to enroll in college despite my feeling that I don't have enough time for it. The reasons why I support divorce. She stays out of trouble. She shuts down and acts as though there isn't an issue in our relationship whenever one arises, rather than dealing with it head-on so that we can move on. She has to feel like the victim all the time. Whenever she experiences stress or something goes wrong in her life, she always finds someone to blame for it. She has shown no consideration for my needs or feelings. She frequently prioritizes her friends' demands over her family's. Despite her efforts, she has never shown genuine listening or regard for my needs in our relationship. She should not be thinking about who she can be, but rather, who she could have been. Her friends' opinions of her matter more to her than the opinions of her family or, more crucially, her own perception of herself. She broke her vow to consult me first, specifically, when she had concerns rather than turning to anyone else. She lacks financial responsibility. She constantly uses emotional blackmail to get me to do things like handle the finances, but when I comply, she accuses me of controlling her. Whenever I have not strictly managed the money, she has put us in a jam. And to close on a positive note, 1. She has improved me as a person. 2. She dreams. 3. She typically strives to see the good in everything. 4. She has a generous heart toward those in need. My true requirements. I must have respect for myself. That entails clearly placing one's own wants before of others, respecting my viewpoint and serving as the main, if not the sole, point of contact. I need someone who, after work, doesn't enter the house and spend the entire evening on Facebook, chatting to the people she just spent the day with, people she claims are the source of her stress. Even if it hurts, I need someone who will be honest with me. I admit that I can be too controlling at times, a boss, or arrogant. I just need someone to point that out to me so I can stop being such a jerk. I need someone who is generally cheerful and who understands how to find happiness in other people's happiness. Someone who is dedicated to me and my kids is what I need. I forgot to mention the plans for the weekend. It's camping night tonight. We currently have a policy against touching in bed. After the kids go to bed, the two of us will spend a late night playing video games and watching movies in the living room. Not that anything will happen, but since it's not the bedroom, where things may go wrong, I do plan to try, but I won't push it. As for our plans, we'll probably simply hang out for a while. Though she is unaware of it yet, we are planning to visit the beach on Sunday, weather allowing. When she requests to go, I'll just say, "Oh sorry, forgot to tell you I'm taking the kids to the beach. Would you like to come?" And I'll go ahead and get the kids ready. It's a sure thing because she adores the beach, but I don't want to go there because I'll be dependent on her. Instead of this daddy initiative, I'm going to take the lead and show her some of the love initiatives she fell in love with. As an aside, she didn't clean her Facebook until Sunday night when I was using my laptop. Even though it's not as clean as I would like, it was refreshing that she wanted me to know that she'd done that. Since she is aware of my feelings on Facebook, she purposefully wanted me to see it. For me, Facebook is reserved for my family and a select group of gaming pals. She also had a Facebook conversation with her mother on Sunday night. I'm not sure what was said, but she seemed happy to see me this morning. She's been getting really happy with me every day, in fact. Before it all began, we had a heated conversation yesterday after she got off work. I informed her why I was upset after letting her know that I was upset. We chatted for nearly an hour without arguing or yelling, just talking about things that had been bothering me. I took her words at face value and that was that. The conversation did yield some interesting information. She is giving me a fair shot, but she still wants a divorce. It appears that most of the women who claim so are just ready for a divorce in the event that nothing changes, based on what they have read in the forums and the ladies' clubhouse. Since I've been devoted to my adjustments, I'm hopeful there won't be any problems. In her own relationship, she has finally acknowledged that she is putting more effort into everyone else than into herself, and she is sorry for it. She did, however, add that even though she was the one who disregarded that aspect, so much love had been lost and needed to be restored. Although I disagree, I understand that I can't make her feel otherwise. I'm pressuring her. Today is our counseling session. Perhaps the counselor will behave more wisely than she did the last time around, since I believe it has really benefited us. Shrug, because if not, this will be our last trip, which is unfortunate because it seems like we are making progress. If therapy is continued, we should consider doing it every 2 weeks. I'm okay with everything being moved to this weekend because she wants to unwind by drinking. Yes, I understand that I failed to meet her needs, but I don't understand why she told a false story about not getting what she needed for 3 years before deciding to file for divorce. However, after reading Ladies' Clubhouse, it seems that the women who wish to stay married need to make changes to their marriage, even if they weren't the ones who started the problems in the first place. They need the man to, as it were, spearhead the transformation. That's okay with me. I can correct it now that I have a better understanding of what went wrong. I'm not going to modify some of it so she can understand that's just part of life or that it's actually better off without her. Some of it is things she never stated out loud, but when she changed me, she responded to it. Her fixation on what she could have become rather than what she is capable of is one example. We got married young, so let me clarify for those who have been reading my story, a lot of what she seems to be feeling comes from the fact that she missed her 20s and skipped that phase of her life. I know some people might have interpreted that incorrectly, but I'm sure you're not one of those jellybeans. I can't get her to understand that when I met her, had already outgrown my partying days and had matured early. Her party days never came. She doesn't realize that she would have ended up exactly where she is now if not for her wild party days. Her spouse is kind and loving, and despite occasional instances of emotional neglect, he has never intentionally attempted to hurt her. I want to be there for my children, and her parents are very supportive of me. Overall, the women who have experienced their party days realize that I am a catch since they can support their claims with experience. She doesn't and still wonders if it makes a difference that she is the only married woman with kids in her role and age group at work because there isn't anyone there in person to support the idea. Rather, she is surrounded by youthful 20-somethings who are just starting their party life. I'm going to complete the first list in order to make her feel understood, and at the same time let her know what I think is wrong with the marriage. Perhaps 1 or 2 things won't make it onto the needs list, which is more of a pick-me-up as I know she can take care of everything. I tried not to let her see me cry last night because I knew she would assume it was all her fault. I broke down because of my own personal demons, but it was too late. I am aware of the inability to find a solution. I give her credit, she is offering me an opportunity, but it seems like she is only giving it half of her heart. She promised to go forward on a number of things, but she hasn't done so yet. Documentation for a separation, a fresh flyer aimed at removing the cats, the papers needed to return to the United States with the kids and myself, and so on. The weekend was all right, although not very good. She's actually influenced flirty touching a lot, and she's not shying away from my touch. She has acknowledged that she knows I might not leave on the dates she had planned. We really have a little trip planned, if I'm not gone by then. The night of camping was uneventful. She had second thoughts about her initial idea, so we didn't end up remaining in the living room. But I turned up the bedroom air conditioning. I've always liked sleeping in the winter. She sleeps warmly. She would occasionally come closer to me when I kept it warm for her, which was a bonus. Eventually, though, I saw that she was curled up against me and moving away. She can always wear more clothes, but you can only take so many off. I know, it's terrible in some ways. Sunday was rainy, so there was no beach. It was cloudy when we arrived at the beach, and the sky confirmed that it would rain today rather than just pass by. That being said, that's okay because we used it to inform some additional plans. That's all there is to it. Things continue to go in a constructive manner. I'm not getting married again, but I'm also not getting divorced anytime soon. I have stretched over the divorce fence, grabbed her, and brought her back to the wedded side, but I still don't know which way she will fall. If only I could persuade her that it's okay to let go of the fence and place her stupid feet on the ground. As an aside, our relationship with the counselor is over. We still believe that we need counseling, but we have decided to end our relationship with this counselor since she has truly started to work against our needs. She took my list of needs and the reasons I support the divorce quite seriously. After 2 days, I don't know what to think of this except that ladies are nuts. No offense women, but overlook the fact that I know she wants a divorce the more I seem like we are just having a disagreement. She acts more and more like we're simply fighting. Really, ladies, do you even know what the hell you want, or are you all living in a world where the past 5 minutes ago exists? Take her to work, drop the child off at school, and see the dentist. Return later so I can get my partial root canal. It's almost time for the boy to be picked up. She brings the girl to fetch the boy. After that, she has to spend around half an hour with them both while I finish. After having both children for 30 minutes, she becomes irritable and begins to vent on me. I remind her nicely and quietly that I don't take it out on her because I do this every day. Although I don't mind, it's inappropriate for her to vent her wrath on me. When she gets home, she collapses onto the love seat. After completing some things, I raise up her legs and sit on the couch because I missed my Canucks game. After not getting any sleep, he passes out while playing hockey with her. After that, prepare dinner, watch more of No Ordinary Family, and set up the Glee season finale for her. What the hell, really? Yes, I want to stay married, but is all it takes to get a divorce truly just to not bring it up? Really, all I need to do is work on improving myself and act like she never spoke the D word. Her behaviors have been indicating that it shouldn't be that simple. It is fewer than 30 days away from the scheduled return to the States day. The second draft of the separation agreement is still missing. After 3 days, or roughly 30 days, we received our first draft. She still hasn't opened a new bank account, located a place for the cats to live, or made an allocation. I've truly gone above and beyond to return to the United States with the kids. There is no way in hell that I will be leaving in the next month, let alone the next 2, given that part of it involves government paperwork. Well, 1 day at a time, but lately, in terms of reconciliation, every day has been better than the previous. Her behavior when not self-reminding. She claims to love me, but she doesn't. Now that she is less stressed outside, she needs to make a conscious effort to not love me, and anyone may witness her doing it. There is, in my opinion, a guilt-shame component to it. She considers not sticking to her word when she says anything to be one of her worst weaknesses. Even if she no longer believes that her snap decision was the right one, she now feels as though she is adhering to it. Naturally, I am unable to let her know about any of this. Sometimes, it is just so very aggravating. However, I'm growing more independent every day and don't need her as much, which is a wonderful thing. I believe she is also approaching a similar realization, that while she is capable of doing things on her own, she is not required to. But let's wait and see what the cards reveal. Let's find out what my plan is and what her plan is. I want to prove to her that I am still the man she loves, and being aloof and cold won't work because, well, that's not the man she loves. nor as a needy, insecure man. My strategy is to simply be the guy I should be in spite of her, which is drastically changing her. It wasn't so much the D word that devastated her as it was all these issues that have existed for years and that I have been pleading with her to disclose that caused the painful divorce. What doesn't match up are her behavior and her plan. The conversation has shifted from being about how much I can't wait to have a divorce to being about when we will get a divorce to basically just talking about separation with no real action taken for a time. As I am trying to be a better man, I believe that her current aim is to have me screw up the papers so I can't leave. Since I've been too demanding in the past, I can't really press her to tell me what her plan is. For now, I can put up with her trying to maintain her composure. Fixing us is far more essential than worrying about minor affronts. Of course, if we stay together, all of this detox still needs to be taken care of. But for the time being, all I'm focused on is improving myself, taking care of my children, and yes, preserving my marriage. Regarding giving her the benefit of the doubt, I concur. I've informed her that things would be very different if we were back in the United States. Our foreign location and the knowledge that my early return to the United States would mean certain things for my kids has complicated things for their benefit. To be honest, if I had been back in the United States, I would have simply taken a solo trip to my house and given her 2 weeks to handle whatever I handle before gauging her reaction. She understands that if she sends me back without making a renewed commitment to the marriage, there's a good chance that I won't wait around and that another woman will have been taking on the role of mother for X months by the time she returns. For the record, since I started using this strategy, I only show her love and attention when she is behaving positive toward me, which hasn't happened very often. Address her, tell her why she's being placed on, then ignore her. Disregard. Because of this, her verbal plan and her actions don't align, and I want to be alone with her. This includes attempting to meet my needs and altering the bad habits I have. Let's say she wants to wed me. Though each day is fresh, I'll keep going after it day by day and keep being the guy I should be. I guess I cursed myself. Eventually, a call with the divorce decree was received. She claims it's just so she can finish the paperwork right away. Damn it all. She is beginning to understand that she will not be able to experience the child's life. She just discovered she won't be present for their birthdays. Her daughter turns 5 this year, and her son turns 7 shortly. I'm going to have to deal with the kids asking why their mother isn't at their B-Day celebration at those really trying times. We'll watch what happens the following day and the day after that, as usual, keeping my head up and making an effort to maintain a realistic optimism. I try not to place too much emphasis on any one item and instead attempt to find the positive aspects in everything. If the paperwork moves quickly, the limousine will last until late June or early July. That is exclusive to my return to the United States. If a divorce is pursued, it will take 18 months because of legal issues. That's just the bare minimum. I don't really think in that sense, and if the worst happened, I don't have this big plan to immediately go out and hit the market. I would have said something more along the lines of I won't wait and be your plan B, but looking back at how I phrased it, I realize it wasn't the best decision. She has been, or at least I think she has been, honest with me about where she is. However, I don't want to leave this place, return to the United States, and remain in uncertainty. I don't want her to think that I'm just going to raise our kids and hope that mommy decides to come home if I leave here and she is still on the fence. I can wait for my aha moment in the same house, but I'm not going to spend 18 months across the ocean. The short forecast is 18 months, and she could not be living close to the children even then. When our eldest returns home for real, she will have nearly completed her high school education if she pursues her career as planned. As of right now, we are attempting to handle each problem one at a time, slowly. We seem to be moving forward, and I've noticed some indications that the mist is now beginning to clear. Although the emotional romance has ended for some time, she is still struggling to emerge from the fog. Yes, I am bewildered, but I'm also perplexed by the way she acts and speaks. She seems overwhelmed, and I can't help but tell her how I believe she feels or how I perceive her to feel, even though using words that aren't really helpful. We plan to discuss tomorrow and possibly set an egg timer for 1 or 2 hours to deal with it. She finally acknowledged that she would be missing time with the children, which created the opportunity for that viewpoint. Regarding the documentation that has been filed, it's a simple separation agreement. I gain custody of the children and am not allowed to take them out of the state where they were born. The maternal grandparents are allowed reasonable visitation. Support from my spouse. 7 years of being a Mr. Mom and paying child support for our 2 kids. There's not really a way to go about attacking that, and the paperwork won't be done until I file, which is a long way off. And no, I'm not in the mood to file right now. Regarding taking on the role of mother, I have absolutely no desire to look for another mother for my kids. As a couple moves on independently, I realize it's unavoidable, but I want my kids to know just one mother. I have handled the consequences for my children to the best of my ability. Like I mentioned, everything would be much simpler if I were back in the United States. Being where I am geographically and what this will mean for my kids, I am trying to ensure them as much mom time as possible while me and her deal with us. Things are improving day by day, but again, I have a limited schedule because of my current location. Because of the children, I really can't just do the whole no contact while limiting contact for 6 months, or however long is necessary. I hate to punish my children or use them as an emotional weapon, so if I force her out of the living area now, the kids will be without their mother for an additional few months. Since they are innocent in all of this, they should have as much motherly time as they can before they might not have any more till they graduate from high school. Thus, I've been having bite talks. She is aware until she gives it her all. She is giving us a chance now, and when I return to the United States, I will be leaving. The opportunity to act appears sincere, but to be really honest, I don't trust her at the moment. However, if there's going to be any prospect of a reunion, I have to start believing in her. Though I'm not saying I'm throwing in the towel just yet, there remains hope because every day she gets closer to home. I occasionally check in with chats to see where we are at with status updates. We have just recently returned to her vocabulary, and as I mentioned before, even though she claims she still wants a divorce, several of her recent behaviors suggest that her true desires differ from her stated desires. All I want is for her to confide in her parents or someone like, as opposed to someone who isn't, someone who, if they knew everything, might give her the brutal truth. After a month, I'm still single, unmarried, in limbo, and abroad. My goal is to be married or divorced by the end of July at the latest, but I have no complaints. You may wonder how things are getting better. She formally changed her mind from wanting a divorce to being unsure of what she wanted. Although it might not seem like much, her acts have been exactly what I need to do in order to mend our connection. She hasn't made any passionate love in the bedroom yet, but at night she started cuddling her feet. Like moving her leg over to touch mine, or the last 2 nights when I've rolled away from her in the middle of the night, not on purpose, but if I can't cuddle, which is what we're not doing in bed right now, I toss and turn and pillows don't make a difference. She turned to face me and placed her hand in the middle of my back, massaging it. I made the decision to test the awareness of the situation last night and moved a little distance away after she actually did. She repositioned so she could touch me and started massaging me once more. Rubbing is really just one of those slow thumb movements, so maybe that's not the right word. In her daily life, she takes care of herself and the needs of the family with great consideration. She hasn't attempted a no-win scenario in months. She now either announces that she will act or indicates that she will act. She is willing to make concessions and will really inquire. For instance, she informed me her friend was inviting her over tomorrow after she just returned from vacation. It's not acceptable if she visits either, which, I suppose, gets me to the truly positive update. She's beginning to open up to me and regain her trust. She clearly has faith in my capacity to go past small setbacks. As an illustration, I'm not too thrilled that her friend is coming over tomorrow. I'll get over it, it's not that big of a deal. It's fortunate that it has enabled us to relocate quite a distance from our previous location. As I mentioned before, I'm still not quite there, but I acknowledged far ago that I was willing to travel the long, painful, and tedious route rather than seek the short, simple solution. A few months won't be enough to suddenly erase 3 years' worth of problems, which is around 1.5 years' worth. I've started writing her each day that I work. Yes, they reflect my moods, but I only ever express happy feelings in them. Had only one moment of rage before stopping it and giving it to her. They're doing a great job of controlling my emotions and preventing me from talking too much to her, which helps me avoid getting upset or upset. She has commented on them a few times and reads them every morning. She claims that in regards to her and me, I am being realistically optimistic in them. The girl, who is about 5 years old, began talking about how she wants her parents to be together like in the image yesterday. Family portrait. While she was sitting outside, my wife gave the standard description of events. My wife gave me a nice grin when I mentioned that my parents are making an effort to live healthier lives, and we will reevaluate once we have completed our personal growth. We truly believe it to be our current state. She may not say it out loud just yet, but based on everything she's done, it appears that she wants to remain happily married and give us some space to grow as a couple. As we gradually mend our friendship, send me back to the United States. Return to the United States after a year and assess our current situation. She wants to proceed with a second divorce and called her parents. It seems that her parents are perplexed by it as well. Though I'm still saddened by it all, I'm taking it much better now that I know I've been trying my best to avoid it. This time, I'm depressed, but not in a desperate or agonizing way. Facebook was the source of the fireworks. Oh my God, I detest that thing. Yes, I use it personally, but only to communicate with the individuals that truly important. This time, I'm not going to back down like I did in the past. I'm being determined. If it was just a serious emotional outburst to her parents, she won't scare me with detox. Again, I'm not sure how this will turn out. It might just be an emotional tantrum because she's still not sure what she wants from life. Nevertheless, even though I want to be with her, I won't let her shenanigans stop me from going forward if that's what she wants. I'm glad it's not having the same effect on you this time. He'll be blissfully unmarried. There's always someone better out there. Did you all enjoy how it ended? Opus is gradually accepting things and did not grovel for his wife's return. Keep in mind that everything occurred in a matter of months. Opus handled this more adeptly than many others.